Hi everyone, it's Miss Fogarty here. We are going to be reading lesson number 9, titled We the People. There are 5 vocab words that we need to be on the hunt for. The first vocab word is amendments. Those are changes or improvements. The next vocab word is the Bill of Rights. That was a document that contains additions to the Constitution which limit the power of the government. The third word is consent. That means when you give someone approval or permission to do something, you are consenting. The fourth word is the Constitution. That was a document that laid down the foundation for all the laws of the United States and explains how the United States government works. And the last vocab word is disagreements. We all should be pretty familiar with this word. That is an argument, or when you have a difference of opinion, you disagree with someone. So once again, our vocab words are amendments, the Bill of Rights, consent, the Constitution, and disagreements. Today I want you to listen carefully to learn more about the Constitution, one of the people who helped write it, and why it's so important to the citizens of the United States. The Constitution and the Bill of Rights are 2 of the most important documents in the United States history. A constitution is a document that describes the basic plans for the laws and the government of a country. It explains the main laws of a country and how its government works. That means that the United States Constitution states the basic laws of the United States and explains how our government should work. This is a gentleman named James Madison. One of the men who helped write the United States Constitution was James Madison. A quiet, small man, James Madison was born in 1751 in Virginia. He did not enjoy crowds, nor did he enjoy speaking to them. When he did, he had such a soft voice that listeners had to lean a little bit closer to hear Madison's words. Yet many people took the trouble to do so, because they thought Madison's words were worth hearing. He was well known for having great ideas and making the most confusing problems clear. Often at the end of a conversation, this polite, quiet man would inspire people to think seriously about his important ideas. That is what happened when leaders of the new nation called the United States of America and met in 1787 to decide what sort of government they wanted to form. The leaders came from all parts of the country and had all sorts of ideas. In the end, however, Madison's ideas had the greatest influence or effect in shaping the organization of the new American government. For example, Madison's idea of having 3 branches or sections of a government, a president, a Congress, and a Supreme Court, is a very important concept that we still use today. Together, these 3 branches in the American government balance out one another's power, so not one branch can be too powerful and make all the decisions for the nations. When it was time to write down what they had agreed upon, Madison did more than anyone else to write the Constitution of the United States. This is a picture of Madison working on the Bill of Rights. James Madison's job was not done after the Constitution was written. In 1789, Madison helped write an extra part to add to the Constitution called the Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights consists of the first 10 amendments or changes to the Constitution. The Bill of Rights protects the rights of Americans, such as freedom of speech and freedom of religion. Over the years, as the United States changes, Americans found that the Constitution needs to change a little bit too. To do this, Americans added amendments, which are changes or additions to the original Constitution. The amendments are believed to have made the Constitution better for the lives of American people. This is James Madison as president. James Madison's fine work in developing the United States Constitution earned him the nickname the Father of the Constitution. Later, James Madison was elected to serve as the 4th President of the United States. Today, hundreds of years later, American government and laws are based on what Madison and his fellow founding fathers created. The United States Constitution is the highest law of the land. So no one in no state is allowed to pass a law that goes against the Constitution and its principles. But what does the Constitution say? Well, right from the start, the authors made a bold statement. The Constitution begins with the very famous introduction called the preamble. It starts, "We the people of the United States." This means that the greatest power behind the American government is the American people and all the citizens, rather than a king or a queen, or just the founding fathers who wrote the Constitution. The government of the United States represents all of the citizens of the United States. The citizens of the United States can vote to change how their government does things. This is called the consent of the governed. In return for this power, the people agree to live by and follow the laws. So we the people, meaning everyone in the United States. The preamble goes on to say that citizens want the Constitution to make the nation run fairly for everyone, and the states will unite or work together to help make the nation work smoothly. The preamble, or introduction of the Constitution, also tells us that American laws or rules must protect all of the liberties or freedoms of all citizens, not just some. It is an agreement that the Constitution is our most important set of rules. The preamble says that the federal government will include an army, a navy, and other military forces to protect Americans from enemies. It also says that the government and the laws are meant to protect the liberties or freedoms for Americans now and in the future. The rest of the Constitution goes on to describe the different things the government is supposed to do. The government makes laws and carries them out. It solves problems, and the government protects Americans from certain dangers. It tells us how we're supposed to make those things happen. The Constitution also created the office of the President of the United States, the Congress, and the Supreme Court, which are all made up of people who try to follow the same principles of the Constitution. One reason the writers of the Constitution are still so admired is that they did an amazing job of creating a form of government that would not only help others solve problems in their time, but would also help solve all sorts of problems that might come later on. Today, we, the people of the United States, have a Congress made up of people from every state. We have a president to carry out those laws and courts to help us settle disagreements and keep the peace. Our country has military sources to protect us. And there are other parts of the government, all of which are based on the ideas that James Madison and the other founding fathers wrote down over 200 years ago in the United States Constitution. As time goes on and our country grows, bringing new problems and wonderful new opportunities, new laws are being added to deal with problems and protect our people. Whenever a new law is added, it is our job or responsibility to follow the new law or to speak out if we feel if the law does not agree with the principles originally stated in the Constitution. Although the Constitution was written over 200 years ago, it still tells us how government is supposed to work, even today.